Good evening, everybody. It is Thursday. It is almost 5 o'clock, so we are getting ready for dinner. So I'm coming to you, and it is taco night. It's not Taco Tuesday, it's Taco Thursday here. So if you like tacos, stick around because I'm going to show you how to DIY your seasoning. And she's going to, my daughter Leia is joining us. She's going to be in charge of the meat. So she's actually going to do a lot of the cooking, and I'm going to do a lot of the fun stuff with the seasoning. So just a couple of tips. You want your oil nice and hot. So when you do your taco meats, the first thing you really want to add in is your aromatics. These are, it's a fancy word for onions and garlic and stuff like that. So she's going to use the Power Chef, and she's going to just chop that up real fine. Just get a nice dice out of it, and then she's going to throw that into the hot oil and just kind of get a good saute on that. The goal is that you bring out the smell and you bring out that aroma from the onions and the garlic before you add your meat. So you want to go ahead and do like a pre-cook, like a pre-saute. How are we doing over there? Perfect. So just do a little bit of a pre-cook, pre-saute, just to get them hot and nice and oiled, and then you'll add in your meat. So she's going to saute that for about 2 minutes, and then right there is the 2 pounds of ground beef. So I shop on clearance. That's been in the freezer for a couple of days. I got it on sale, froze it immediately, and it's just as good as it was fresh. So that's a great way to save money. I'm going to work on the Southwest Chipotle over here. Now, you can buy Southwest Chipotle from the store, okay? But it's really expensive. The McCormick and all of those brands are very, very expensive. You can actually make your own, save a lot of money, and it makes a lot more. So this is a great seasoning for, of course, tacos, but any of your Mexican food. So if you're doing any sort of Spanish cuisine or Latin influence, you can sprinkle this on. I've added it to refried beans. You could throw it on some rice. You could even throw it on some chicken if you're feeling brave. So the Southwest Chipotle is, it looks like this, and I'll post this, so don't worry about that. But if you like this, I'm happy to email it or mail it to you and help you get this in your hands. So the Southwest Chipotle is simply, I'm just going to read off the ingredients: paprika, cumin, garlic powder, chipotle powder, dried cilantro, onion powder, a little bit of sugar, and a little bit of salt. And you're just going to put it all together, and it does make a lot, so I'm going to put it in our modular mate because it's airtight, so that'll keep it fresh. And then I'll take just a little bit, and I'll put it in our, see I'm completely out, I'll put it in our spice shaker so that I have it ready for whatever we need. So here we go. We're going to put in 2.5 tablespoons of smoked paprika. It's the one I didn't grab. Hold on.
And how do I know when it's ready to unheat?
When you can smell it. So if you want to turn your fire up so it cooks a little faster, you can do that. So paprika. So we're going to do 2.5 tablespoons. So there's 1. There's 2.5. Now, because these are seasonings and we use them for cooking, not baking, you could be a little generous with some of your spices. So if it goes a little over, a little under, it's not really a big deal. We're going to do 1/2 cup of ground cumin. Now, I suggest you go to the store and you buy your cumin and all your other spices in bulk. Now, the reason that's important is you need to, you can save a lot of money this way. So you can save a lot of money by buying just what you need. Buy just a cup at a time. Or if you're trying something new, like, I don't know, you have found a really cute Asian recipe, you can, and you don't really need that much ginger, that much sesame seeds and things like that. You can just get a little bit. You know, if it comes with a spice that you're not familiar with. I don't bake with cook with cardamom and some of those other spices. I want to learn, but I don't know yet. So I don't really want to buy a whole jar like this of a spice that I may not use again. So buying in bulk lets you actually get just a little bit. So I'm doing 1/2 cup of cumin. And I ran out, so this is a new batch of cumin for me. So what I'm going to do with the rest of it is I'm going to put it in my spice shaker. So now the next time I do need cumin, when I'm doing a chili or anything like that, it's ready to go. All right, and our spice shakers are modular mates, so they are an airtight seal, so it is going to keep your spices fresher. So I've done the cumin and I've done the paprika. We're going to do 1.5 tablespoons of garlic powder. Now you may not know that garlic powder and granulated garlic are two different things. Pretty self-explanatory. Powder is a powder, granulated are grains. So granulated garlic is actually going to be grains of dried garlic. And I like fresh garlic, so I have her sauteing up some garlic as well. So that was 1.5 tablespoons of garlic powder, and she should be ready to throw that meat in any moment now. Just trying to get those onions and that garlic kind of to smell good, to let off their aromas. Do a kind of a pre-cook, because they're going to cook more when the meat gets in there. Now, if you notice, I haven't added this Southwest Chipotle to the meat. You want to wait for the seasonings, because if you do the seasonings now, they're just going to get lost in the grease. So you don't want that. You want to wait until closer to the end, or maybe even after it's done cooking, to throw in your seasonings, especially salt. Salt is a big one, because it will dry out your food. So we are adding 2.5 tablespoons of Chipotle powder. This one's a new one for me, so I did find it at the store. So I'm just going to reach in and get 2.5 tablespoons. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 1/2. So that's super simple. This is a very simple recipe. I'm only using 4 different measurements. We're going to do 2.5 tablespoons of dried cilantro. This you can find in the spice aisle. So or the baking aisle. If you go down the baking aisle with all of the spices, you are going to find this. It's usually in a baggie. So that's 1, 2. So it's going to be in a little baggie, and you're just going to, it's not expensive, and it's just dried cilantro. Now, I wouldn't use fresh cilantro, and here's why. You're storing this for a long time. Now, if I was doing fresh cilantro, it would be an added seasoning on top of the tacos to add an extra boost of zing. But for the Southwest Chipotle spice that I'm storing in the pantry, we want dried cilantro, not fresh cilantro. All right, we're going to do 1/3 cup of onion powder. So we're going to do 1/3 cup of onion powder. Now, this has a pour spout, and it has a shaker spout. So if I was seasoning some chicken, I might just sprinkle, but because I need a whole 1/3 cup of onion, I'm just going to pour. All right, 1/3 cup of onion powder. And we're almost done. 2.5 tablespoons of granulated sugar. Now this has my Chipotle powder, so what do I want to do? I'm going to use a scoop to actually measure out the sugar, because I don't want to put a bunch of red specks. Now remember, it's not perfect, it's just a spice, so a little more, a little less is not a big deal. So there's 1, there's 2, and just a little bit more. And don't be afraid of sugar. I know there's a lot of different, schools of thought on sugar. I'm not afraid of white sugar. I don't use a lot of it. It adds a nice sweetness to a lot of recipes. So don't be afraid of sugar, unless you have health reasons, okay? I'm not a doctor, disclaimer there. Okay, and then 4 tablespoons of coarse salt. So I have some coarse salt right here, and I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm just gonna pour it into my measuring cup, or my measuring spoon, and we're gonna do actually 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so now that I have all my spices, I'm just gonna mix it. So just mix it, nothing special. Doesn't take a lot of work, just to get it nice and incorporated. And then we can create our own spice shaker. Oh, and quick tip, if you don't have Chipotle powder, chili powder works just fine, okay? So I wouldn't use both, use one or the other. So I'm gonna pop this open. It just pulls open just like that. And then I'm going to scoop our seasoning. So there is about half a cup. Get a little bit more in there. And I just want to show you how beautiful that is. Look at all those spices. So you can see the flecks of cilantro. It's glistening. So now I have my Southwest Chipotle in there, and it sounds like she's ready, and her beef is ready. So because this does have some larger pieces like the cilantro, I'm going to use the opening, the large pour spout, and then I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit on the meat. We need a little bit longer. It's almost there yet. Okay. So the meat's almost done, and we don't have taco shells, so we're actually going to be creative tonight. We're making taco boats. So we're going to get that out of the oven. Okay, so we're doing taco boats in bell peppers. Now the reason they were in the oven is bell peppers do take a while to cook, and so I wanted to give them kind of a pre-cook, and then we're gonna fill them and put them back in with some cheese, and then we'll have taco boats. This is the Ultra Pro pan top, so it can be used as a mini casserole pan if you did need it. And that is the lasagna size, so this is the lasagna pan. So it's one of my favorite baking pieces, and I've used it for everything from stuffed shells, I've made croissants, I've made cinnamon rolls, biscuits, things like that. Or just to keep food warm. You know, you just want to I threw some corn on the cob on there, tossed it in the oven for a little bit just to keep it warm. So that top, I use actually a lot more than I use the large casserole. But this is great for brookies. This is great for stuffed shells, lasagna. It is a lasagna pan. So DIY your own seasoning. Save yourself some money. Have some fun with your kids. Let them do the cooking. And y'all have a great night. We're off to have tacos.